Hi, Guillermo, how are you?
Hi, Andy, very good.
Good, good.
Welcome.
This guy greets everybody as they come in the door.
Guillermo del Toro is a rare genre filmmaker who's managed to earn the respect and admiration of film snobs without alienating lowbrow genre fans. He made a movie where the creature from the Black Lagoon gets the girl, and he won Best Picture and Best Director for it. And that's because The Shape of Water isn't just a bestiality love story. It's about prejudice and inhumanity and hostility towards the other. Del Toro has become as highly regarded as someone who makes films about social issues, because his films are about social issues. He just pushes that messaging through fairy tales and monster movies. Del Toro is a visionary and a passionate storyteller who's made some of the greatest and most unique films of the past 30 years, but they haven't all been winners.
Mimic.
After his low-budget indie debut, Del Toro got the chance to make his second movie on a much bigger budget for a major Hollywood studio. Unfortunately, the experience was an absolute nightmare. He had to fight Harvey Weinstein of all people for creative control and ended up having to compromise on the final product. I love the concept of a New York monster movie about giant cockroaches turning on their makers, but Mimic reeks of studio interference. Even the director's cut, which restores as much of Del Toro's original vision as he could with the footage available, still plays like a bland, watered-down, designed-by-committee bastardization of a Del Toro movie.
This is your home now.
I was really disappointed by Crimson Peak. My disappointment can partly be attributed to the fact that it was marketed as a horror film when it's really a gothic romance, but even as a gothic romance, I just didn't like it. It's visually stunning, as all of Del Toro's films are, and the actors are all incredible, but I wasn't invested in the love story at all. Del Toro's low-budget debut feature Cronos got his career off to a strong start, but his later films would only get better. Cronos is full of evidence of an early, inexperienced filmmaker still learning the ropes, but it also has plenty of signs of an auteur with a sharp command of the craft and an idiosyncratic perspective. Like most of Del Toro's subsequent films, Cronos explores the inherent monstrosity of human beings, a theme that will never get old, but he would tackle that theme in much greater depth in his later work.
Blade 2.
Del Toro's second tangle with a major American studio turned out much more successfully than Mimic. Blade 2 is a prime example of a sequel that's bigger, better, and ballsier than its predecessor. It takes everything that was great about the first one, the blood-soaked action, the atmospheric horror, Wesley Snipes' charismatic performance, and dials it up to 11. Blade 2 doesn't have much in the way of character development, but it more than makes up for it with plenty of high-octane vampire-slaying action.
Pacific Rim.
With its tale of giant monsters fighting people in giant robot suits, Pacific Rim is mostly just mindless blockbuster entertainment. But as far as mindless blockbuster entertainment goes, it's pretty damn entertaining. It's completely shameless about being wall-to-wall spectacle and blows most spectacle movies out of the water because there's someone behind the camera who actually gives a fuck. The creature designs and set pieces are straight from the mind of a man who adores kaiju movies, and Del Toro brings a staggering sense of scale that's missing from most of these monster-infested blockbusters. Pacific Rim is a classic example of style over substance, but Del Toro's impassioned direction makes up for a conventional script.
Hellboy.
Del Toro's first Hellboy film is proof that the best adaptations aren't always faithful. It bears little resemblance to the comic it's based on, but it's arguably even better. Del Toro and Ron Perlman turned Hellboy into a demon Dirty Harry. He's the superhero version of the classic Del Toro archetype, the monster with a heart of gold. After his nightmarish experience working for a big studio on Mimic, Del Toro returned to his small-scale horror roots for his third feature, The Devil's Backbone. This movie established the director's penchant for pushing poignant social commentary through genre narratives. The Devil's Backbone uses the horrors of a classic ghost story to reflect the horrors of the Spanish Civil War. It's a ghost movie about the spectre of warfare that reminds audiences we'll always be haunted by humanity's blood-soaked history. It doesn't mix genre tropes with social commentary quite as effectively as Pan's Labyrinth or The Shape of Water, but it's a spooky ride with some pointed subtext.
You woke up the baby.
Del Toro strikes me as the kind of guy who wouldn't make a sequel to one of his movies unless he could outdo the last one, and that's what he did with Hellboy 2. The first Hellboy has plenty of action, humour and heart, but the sequel has even more. The atmosphere is moodier and grittier, and Ron Perlman is even more comfortable in the title role. It's a crying shame we never got a third movie. I mean, we did, but it wasn't with Del Toro or Perlman, and it sucked. The Shape of Water shouldn't work. It's a classical Hollywood romance about a woman who falls in love with an Amazonian fish man. It shouldn't be a beautiful, touching love story. It should be ridiculous. But Del Toro makes that interspecies romance work by playing it totally straight. He tells the love story with so much passion and earnestness that you get just as swept up in this Hollywood romance as you do with Casablanca or Roman Holiday. Sally Hawkins is mesmerizing as usual in the lead role, and Michael Shannon is typically sinister as the villain. The Shape of Water uses monster movie and conspiracy thriller tropes to capture what it feels like to be an outsider.
Is he man or beast?
Some people might find it crazy that I've ranked Nightmare Alley higher than The Shape of Water, but I fucking love this movie. Bradley Cooper gives one of his finest performances as mysterious anti-hero Stan Carlisle, and he's backed up by Cate Blanchett, who gives a seductively sinister turn as a quintessential femme fatale, and Willem Dafoe, who brings both a menacing edge and a twisted sense of humour to the role of Stan's abusive ringmaster. Nightmare Alley is both a chilling horror noir and a haunting character study about the inherent monster lurking within all of us, and it builds to what I consider to be Del Toro's best ending. It brings Stan's tragic arc full circle in truly disturbing fashion, and Del Toro masterfully foreshadows the twist throughout the film. Nightmare Alley gets a bit long-winded in its third act, but that bombshell twist ending makes up for it.
Life is such a wonderful gift.
Del Toro's stop-motion animated version of Pinocchio, co-directed with Mark Gustafson, is the rare adaptation that improves on its source material. By making Geppetto a grieving father who creates a living puppet to replace his late son, Del Toro added a whole new layer of emotion to the Pinocchio story. The animation is beautiful, the voice cast are amazing, and it embraces the darkness and weirdness of the original story. If Disney's live-action remake of Pinocchio released the same year is the epitome of everything wrong with cinema, then Del Toro's take is the epitome of everything right with cinema.
Pan's Labyrinth.
Every director has that one movie that epitomizes their contributions to cinema. Quentin Tarantino has Pulp Fiction, Martin Scorsese has Goodfellas, and Guillermo del Toro has Pan's Labyrinth. It's sort of a mature take on Alice in Wonderland, as a little girl leaves behind the bleak horrors of war to explore an underground fantasy land. Pan's Labyrinth encapsulates the pure escapism of the fantasy genre, not only for the audience but for Ophelia too. Ophelia uses fairy tale iconography as a literal escape from the oppression of Francoist Spain and the cruelty of her stepfather.
One of them babies tried to eat me. I ate him first. I ate him first.
Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you liked the video. Remember to like and subscribe and click on the little bell. And also seize the day and call your mom and be kind to yourself.